Hare Krishna, Jai Jagannath. There are a lot of miseries happening in this world, and behind every misery there are relationships. We hear often somebody has died in an accident, or somebody is having a disease and they passed away. Like that, there are many miseries happening in everyone's life. So life is very temporary. So this we know as a philosophy. But when something happens to us, we cry. Then after some time we feel, oh, this and all world is temporary. We have to be happy. So let's live merry. How can I avoid these miseries? What can I do to get out of these miseries? Generally, if old people are passing away, they say they have seen their lives. But if a young person dies, in the whole family it disturbs. How come he was so young and energetic? What happened to them? So how to avoid these troubles of life? How to avoid these miseries of life? Can they be avoided? So the nature of the world is Mrityu-loka. This world is a place of death. Mrityu sarvaharashchaham. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna claims that he is that death. And when death comes, nobody can avoid it. Sometimes patients ask, doctor, can you please allow me to stay for 2 more years, 3 more years? I have to settle my business. But any amount of money we spend, we cannot escape from death. So when death comes, it comes as sure as death. One surgeon, he saw that his servant was implicated with his wife. So he called him. That person doesn't know that he will be killed. The moment he came, he gave him some anesthesia. Then he made him lie on the table and he murdered him. And when he was taking this body outside in the car, there were blood drops falling, and a police officer was going in the same direction. He got caught. So this is a real story. And so that person actually had kept a British barrister. This story happened pre-independence era. So the British barristers, they have had a big demand. So he kept a British barrister. But actually, because the case was proven, so the magistrate said he has to be killed. He also will be hanged to death. But that barrister, because he had taken big money from this Indian doctor, so he was assuring his patient, don't worry, I will get you out by petition. So when he will get him out of petition, after he is being killed, so this is the nature of the world, that there is a hope given by either by lawyers or by doctors or by our modern education or philosophers, that you don't have to worry about anything in this world. Anyway, I will get you out. We will get you out of dangers. So we are all going through lot of diseases, especially pandemic, and every time there is some new research happens and they say now we have found out a medicine. So people will get relief. Okay, some medicine is coming up very soon. So of late they are releasing much more news about it. They are saying, yeah, it may come, but it has 50 to 60% cure only. Otherwise it depends only on your own immunity. So you better take care of your immunity, then that medicine may work. So science has never advised that an youngster from childhood onwards he has to grow his immunity. They advertise that you can keep on enjoying this body. You see big billboards, and the whole billboards will be saying that you can smoke. In America, in the 1960s, there was a cigarette advertisement. The cigarette advertisement was saying that if you drink cigarette, it will become cool. So our Acharya Srila Prabhupada was in America those days. He used to criticize that how come you are smoking fire and how come there be cool, and this cool advertisement is going on and people are purchasing cigarettes and they are taking more and more tobacco and they are thinking it is cool. So how it can be cool? You are taking fire but you can become cool. These are how advertisements are done to make us put in illusion that there is no death, there is no disease, there is no old age. So these kind of illusions through advertisements, through media, it happens. There are women cigarettes. So those days also there was a big banner in 1960s, and one side they had a banner of 1920s in a black and white photograph where the woman lady is keeping a broomstick and grooming a house. And one more advertisement in a color photograph with a cigarette in hand near her mouth, saying that now you have changed your life, lady, like that something they had advertisement, that now you are changed, you have become modern, so you don't have to do any sweeping in your house, so now you can smoke, so that means you are very advanced, so you have to smoke. What do the businessmen want? They want sales. So they are not really interested with helping any women. They are only interested to sell tobacco. So those days in 1960s, the women to smoke, it was modern trend in America. Of late in India, when that generation people were traveling near the airports, so there is a lobby for them separately for people who want to smoke. So that smoker launch, they were all smoking, and one old lady who was passing by next to one of our family whom we were traveling in airport, she was closing her mouth. How come? They are smoking. There were some 5-6 girls also who were smoking within that smoking lounge. So to smoke, what is girl or boy? Smoking is smoking. But how come there was a paradigm that women cannot smoke or men can smoke? Actually, even men in the previous generation, In front of elders, they will not smoke. So these traditional values, that I will not smoke in front of my father, I will not smoke with my relatives. Now we are advanced, so we can smoke with anyone. So logically it is true. What is wrong? When they are smoking, they can smoke with anyone. So it's an advertisement how we have become more and more modern. What are we becoming advanced? We are becoming advanced in diseases, and for that there is an advertisement that you can come out of your illusion by smoking. You drink more so you can get out of problem. You are in a lot of financial tension. Don't worry, you can earn a lot of money. There are a lot of resources. So people were staying in villages, and they have neighborhood, and they had friends around in the same village. So we had cities where there are a lot of modern industrialization. So people who were in the villages were working in the field. Many people left their houses, came to the cities, and there they earned little more money than their village. But with that money, what they were trying to do is just purchase some wine and go to the nude clubs, try to enjoy. At the end of the day, they have to come back to home. In the home, they have to eat the food. For the same food, what they were getting in their fields, now they have to go to the market. So now go to the market, will you get a good rice? Yeah, you will get good rice, good wheat, you have to pay more. What was available in the fields, a good organic crops, now because you want to come to the city and earn money, and now you have to spend on vegetables, you have to spend on grains, and when you get sick, then you have to go to costly hospitals, and in costly hospitals the beds are costly. In village, even for a person who was, for ladies who were even 8 months, 9 months carrying child, pregnant, there used to be 2-3 ladies in the village who used to go and do delivery of that child. Everywhere, the whole village, 2-3 women used to be there. Of course, the modern hospitals are useful, not that sometimes there is some labor complications and the women may die. So we are not anti to development of medicines, or we are not anti to education or city development. We are not hating missions, we are not haters of science, but we hate diseases. Everyone hates diseases. Who likes diseases? But they are forced upon us in the name of modernization, in the name of saying that we can cure death. To cure death, the scientist who is doing research, he himself actually dies. Where is Mr. Einstein? There was an article on it. Where is Mr. Einstein? His brain was so valuable. So now, let us bring all the scientists who actually have passed away, just like in the Egypt pyramids, they keep mummies, the dead bodies. And the dead bodies nowadays, there is a tourism attraction. The tourism minister of that Egypt, he was showing in one interview how they open the mummies, the dead bodies, which were preserved from thousands of years back. That's one of the tourism attraction. So can you imagine, even 1,000 years back this cheating was happening. Somebody has promised them that you will be given all the facilities after some times. So the best item for what they like, their clothes, their servants. So the royal patronage, the kings and queens, when they died, all the servants also were buried in the pyramids. So this cheating is not only modern cheating, in the past also cheating was happening. Saying that you will again come back to life, there you can enjoy with your servants. So nobody can enjoy life independently. There also they want to, after dying also they want to die with their servants, and all with their servants they want to enjoy later. After that, maybe they would have found out something that they will come back to life after some time. So they had so much of limited understanding. So maybe thousands of years back they had limited understanding. Right now we are very advanced. And what is the modern understanding? So there are some insurance companies I have heard in the late 1970s, they were advertising that you die, but we will safeguard your body. And after some time scientists will find out a solution for death, and later you can come back to life. So this illusion is happening thousands of years back now, and whenever we say in future we will have solution for death. Yes, let us see if there is some solution for death, then most welcome. But Bhagavad Gita says that antavante ime deha, this body is antavat, it is very temporary. But what is permanent? This Atma is permanent. What they are saying is true only. This body may die, but we will never die. That's why in the Vedic life, death was not considered to be as a great loss. If you are not able to achieve something in your life, that was considered to be real death. Just like when a person dies as a soldier, he is honored, they keep a statue for him. So that means his death is memorable. He didn't die just like that. He worked for his country and he died. Up to the last part of his life, he worked and he died there. So it's glorious death. So even materially speaking, when we work for the country, when we are working with a lot of doctors, physicians, they left their body trying to help the patients. So those death also is considered to be glorious. So when you are trying to do good and die, that is a glorious death. So sometimes people ask, what is good, what is bad? So generally the atheistic kind of mentality is that we are, what is there, anyway we are dying. So there is nothing like good and bad. There is nothing like sin, or there is nothing like pious activities. There is no papa or punya. Papa and punya both are not there. After all, we are dying. So let us enjoy and die. So in the past also, just like there are good people and bad people, in the modern days also there are good and bad people. Not that everybody in the past were good and everybody in modern age are bad. In the previous ages also, in the Vedic time also, there was one Muni, his name was Charvaka Muni. So Charvaka Muni had a philosophy. That philosophy is of the modern, do merry and enjoy your life. After all, we don't know what will happen after our death. The same philosophy he also had. So he says, Rinam Kritva, you do some debt. Why should I do some debt? Rinam Kritva, Gritam Pibet. You eat nicely with nicely ghee made food. So you don't have money, means what should I do? Take some loan, beg, borrow, steal. And then you eat nicely. Enjoy your life. Oh, then if I enjoy my life by doing something, because in Vedic age, Rinam Kritva means if you are taking a loan from somebody and you don't repay back, in the next life you have to pay back 10 times that money you have to pay back. So people were very fearful that I should not cheat anybody, because again there is a next life. My life is continuing. So this life I am done something, I have to settle. So this Charvak Muni is saying, don't worry, nothing will happen. Basmi bhutasya dehasya. This body will become ashes. Basmi bhutasya dehasya. This deha, this body, basma, it will become ash. Punaragaman, what is the guarantee that you will again come back? So better you eat nicely and sleep nicely. Enjoy your life. Basmi bhutasya dehasya. Is anyway this body will become ashes. Why you have to worry? Actually this body transforms into three ways. Either it has to become ashes, or if it is body actually is put in water, to like in Kashi or Haridwar, they sometimes the bodies are left in the water, and the aquatics are there, they may eat, and after that this body gets transformed into the animal's stool. So the body either may become ashes, or if they are buried, it becomes earth. Or one more transformation is it can become worm stool or animal stool. So there are three transformations. Actually the body is so temporary. So that's why they say don't get so much carried away. The Vedic education was don't get carried away by this temporary body. The body is so temporary that what you are seeing in your face, that you are looking very beautiful, after a few years you will see your body is becoming with wrinkles and you are becoming old. Okay, let me do some makeup and let me appear good. The celebrities generally who are trying to advertise and do business through their skin, business of skin, they try to maintain their skin very well. They take care of their skin, their body, they do a lot of exercises. As though we will stay ever? No, you have to keep up your body well, you have to keep it fit. But not that we get so much obsessed with this body that we feel, oh, I will be ever beautiful. So they try to put dye to their hair, and they try to keep their face with lot of makeup. And you should see them, sometimes they get so depressed. They get so depressed when they have some small pimple on their face. Even teenagers also, when somebody will ask, oh, you are having some pimple. Oh my God, now what will happen to me? What my friends will say? And a youngster in early 20s, if he starts losing his hair, he will start crying, now who will marry me? What will happen to me? Actually, you see a monk life, they have no hair, but they are free from all headaches. They have a cool brains. Srila Prabhupada or Acharya, when they ask, why do you shave your head? He says to have cool brains. So we don't have to worry whether my hairstyle should be left, right, top, what will happen to my hair, whether it will turn from black to white or white to grey or brown. You don't have to worry. So you can actually have a very enlightened life. It is so distressing, so depressing to feel I am this body, because this body gives only miseries. You are always feeling, oh, my body is becoming old, I am getting disease, oh, my friends will not see at me. Very depressing way to lead a life. The Vedic life says that no, you are not this body. When Arjuna was lamenting that his friends, his relatives, everybody are dying, that was a bodily concept of life. Everything connected to body. The concept of life is everything connected to the body. I will live for some years, I will die, again I will get, what will happen to my friends, my relatives, what will happen to my next generation, will they be knowing me? Actually, there are photographs in everybody's houses. Maybe nowadays, because the houses are small, not like in villages. If you go, there will be a huge photograph, at least some 6 generations photographs will be there. Nowadays they don't have place in the houses because we are all having micro units, micro families. Previously there was joint family structure where so many people in the house, they were there, grandfather was there, grandfather, brothers were there, grandmothers were there, their sisters were there, their children were there. It was a huge family. And there were cows, horses. Still nobody had any problem with food. Everybody used to get married. Everybody had land in their name. There was no shortage of money because there was no money at all. Everything was connected through barter system. It was so easy. Somebody had rice, somebody had vegetables, and there were no big transactions happening. They will go and exchange and come. Now we are also having cashless. We say card, we are having a card, we are cashless transactions. But if you see 100 years back, it was all cashless transactions only. They go, they give something, they go. There used to be village market fairs were there in the weekends. They used to have a groundnut fair. So only groundnuts will be there. There used to be a rice fair. There used to be having a cows fair where a lot of cows were exchanged. There are horses exhibition. Like this, there are so many ways how they used to maintain their life without any difficulty. Now with our modernization, we don't get good rice to eat. What we used to get good quality rice, now even if you spend 100 rupees, 200 rupees in big bazaar, market, supermarkets, they are selling organic rice for 275 rupees, 300 rupees. Where it was available in our backyard of our houses in the fields. Right now we have to spend. It's saying that it's organic rice, it is brown rice, so it is good for health. So we have to spend more money. What was available? Jaggery, sugar. Now we say white sugar not good. A lot of chemicals are there. So we have to purchase more money to get organic sugar. So what is this business? What we are doing is an illusionary way of living. So we don't want to get into this kind of illusion. We want to know how to get rid of these problems. The greatest problem in this world is death. And for that there was solution in the Vedic life. They had only one concept of life, which is not bodily concept of life, but spiritual concept of life. When Arjuna was lamenting, Krishna brought him from a bodily concept of life, saying that, "Oh Arjuna, why are you lamenting like a fool? Anarya justam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna." You are lamenting like an uncivilized person. Arya means the most civilized people. So you are lamenting like uncivilized person. You are an advanced civilized person, the most educated class. The Vedic civilization was Arya civilization, Aryan civilization. It is not from Central Asia, somebody came to India and they taught them how to live. It was always there. So that kind of civilization, they were teaching how you are not this body, you are something above that. So where is that? I don't see anything. No. You try to do research. So in the Vedic literature it is said, the soul is there. Where is it? So it is in the heart. So when we cut our heart, the doctors cannot see the soul. Why you cannot see? Because there is a measurement for it. Keshagri. Keshagri is our hair. Shatabhagasya. You cut it into 100 part. Again you cut it into 100 part. 1 by 10,000 part of the tip of the hair is a measurement of the soul. We cannot see even protons, neutrons in our microscope. We cannot see. It's only an experimentation what we see, how our ultraviolet rays goes, and how we cannot see that. It's by experimentation we know that there is something passing by. That's how we know there is proton and neutrons. That's why which we are not able to see from our eyes. But we know through experimentation. So what is the experimentation? We can know there is a soul. The Vedic literature say the symptom of the soul is consciousness. When you are living, you pinch, you get pain. Oh, I have pain. Until you are having paralysis and your blood flow is not happening and your brain cells are connected to it, and there you don't get signals, then okay, you are there. Otherwise, when you pinch, no living man, if you are pinching, he'll feel, oh, it's alright for me. Until you are trying to tolerate somebody's pain. So there is a consciousness which is flowing from the top of the head up to the bottom of our foot. So this is how consciousness is there. So when this consciousness is there, so you should realize that you are not only this body, there is something else above my body which is running. Indriyani pararaho indriyeva param manaha. Our senses are there. We have been taught in our school only 5 senses. But in the Vedic literatures, there are 2 varieties of senses they teach. Jnanendriya. Jnanendriya is how you acquire knowledge. How do you acquire knowledge? You acquire knowledge by seeing. You acquire knowledge by hearing. So these are called Jnanendriyas. You acquire knowledge by smelling. You know what is that? So these are all one way. Jnanendriyas. Karmendriyas is you work. You work through your hands, legs. So these are the 10 senses which have been given in the Vedic literature. The total 24 elements are there. Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the Panchabhutas. So all this sum total together becomes the elements of this body. The Vedic literatures give each and everything so perfectly that if we have all the sound what we can hear only, but we cannot feel. But air we can feel. So that is more subtler. The next is air, where we can hear and we can touch. Then there is water. Water we can feel, we can drink. There is fire. There is earth. The earth, 5 elements when we say earth, water, fire, air, ether. What is the more subtler, where you can feel, what you can taste, each and everything are systematically explained in the Vedic literatures. Vedic literatures are not only, they say about you close your eyes, you meditate on God, and then you get up, this is our Vedic life, this is meditation, this is yoga. No, they give each and every subtle matter, how this earth is moving, how matter formed this life. Beyond that matter there is consciousness. Without soul being there, like you cut an earthworm, that becomes 2 parts, and the other part again starts moving. So then where was the soul for it? So is that if there is only one soul, there are millions of souls actually. In one glass of water, you will have the whole population, 10 times of the population of this whole continent. So that many bacteria are there, that means that many souls are there. Every bacteria has one soul. So human form species not only has soul, other animals have no soul. It is not like that. Human beings also have soul, bacteria also is a soul. So when you cut an earthworm, the next earthworm, one more soul comes and occupies it, and then it continues. But there is one master soul which is running this body. Just like we die, but in our stomach, in our body, there will be so many bacteria and worms. They still occupy this body, but they are not running. They are not the managers of this body. But when this body is given to us for a temporary time, you become the master temporarily for this body. You are like a rented house. You stay, you clean the house, you take care of the house. It is like that. So, Basmi Bhutasya Dehasya, anyway you are dying, so you do marry and enjoy. So there were certain It's not rishis also, like Charvaka Muni, but our Acharya Srila Prabhupada says how he is the greatest atheist of India, Charvaka Muni. But he is also saying that you eat nicely food made of ghee. He is also not saying you kill animals and eat. That means even an atheistic person in India, he knew how to enjoy eating good food, tastier food. What is there in meat? It's only blood. And the same blood, civilized person, how does he take? When there is paneer, with cottage cheese, and all these cheese, when you fry it, you get the same taste. It's finally transformation of blood only. That's how vegans, they don't take milk, because it's a transformation of blood and they don't take any animal products. But in the Vedic civilization, they give proper treatment to cows, and that milk what they used to take, it was called as miracle food, because they used to take care of cows so sacredly, not having some missions to keep. Nowadays Goshalas have missions to take the milk. So now labor problem is there. In the previous ages, they used to have 10,000s of cows, and there used to be 20,000 of people ready to milk it also every day. But nowadays, we have shortage of labor because we are having advancement of machines. We have tractor, so the farmer became jobless. So we have a lot of machines, so the people, they became jobless. So we are doing one side advancement of machinery, but other side, their people are becoming jobless. So the cows require some machines to remove the milk, and they inject some injections so that they give more milk. It's commercialization. Everything is commercialization. So you can use cow milk for commercialization. Nowadays, mothers are not able to give their breast milk for children. So there are some organizations who are trying to give mother's milk who cannot supply for their children. Some other mother will give milk, and they keep that in their milk banks, and they can supply that, because mother's breast milk is good for the children. So why mothers are becoming milkless? Why we are becoming brainless? It's all because everything is interconnected. Because we are not in a helping mood, we are in an exploiting mood. We want to exploit this body by trying to enjoy it maximum. You get some food, you try to maximum enjoy it. You try to, that's how exploitation happens so much. The modern atheist, he thinks that by killing animals, I can enjoy the maximum. So he tries to kill animal and eat. And there are people who try to exploit and molest poor children, poor women, and they torture them. See, when mind becomes crazy, they don't know what they are doing. That's why you should not go to Rajoguna and Tamoguna. When body gets into Rajoguna and Tamoguna, Tada Rajastamo Bhavat Kama Lobha Jayaschaye. Kama and Lobha, lust and greed, increases in the mode of ignorance and passion. That's why you are what you eat. That's why it is advised you eat proper food which doesn't put you into Rajasic and Tamasic, that is in the mode of passion and ignorance. You don't eat such kind of food. You don't be seeing always violence, that you keep on seeing so much of violence that you want to kill somebody. You enjoy seeing people get killed. There are actually people in burial grounds where they don't feel, because every day they see death. Just like a person who is sitting in a sweet shop, eating everyday sweet, he will not have so much of liking for sweet. But that is conditioning. That's why we are called conditioned soul. We get conditioned by anything. Now, previously we were crying, a few people are dying because of diseases, but when you see everyday people are dying, there is no more that compassion, it goes away. We get conditioned to it. So we get conditioned, that people get conditioned for people crying So even when they are torturing, the psycho fellows who are got in the mood of trying to exploit, they are in the most mode of passion and ignorance, and when they are killing, when they are seen that there are murderers who even after they are dead also, they keep on poking their knife into the chest to make them feel that, oh, I have done the best killing. Similarly, when they molest women, they try to exploit the children, they go to the maximum level of torturing them. So, when the Vedic civilization says, Tada rajastamo bhavat kamalobha dayastri, there is rajoguna, which is a mode of passion, tamoguna, tada rajastamo bhavat kamalobha dayastri. Immediately there is greed and there is a lot of lust. So please avoid, when it is said, they say, oh, these and all are some spiritual, we are all modern people, so we don't mind. But if you don't mind, there is reaction. You want to avoid death, you want to avoid violence, but you are not able to avoid. Even in big cities, Boston, or you go to any big cities in the world, in America or in London or anywhere you go, they have no safety. In the villages, people used to go safely. Not that there was no robbery in the past, there also the people were there to kill here and there. There are always thieves. But the general public, they were not thinking about, worried about, oh, I can, something will happen to me. No, in villages people used to move around. Even now, in spite of so many crimes happening in India, even now, even 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we are able to move around. There are modern thieves who are stealing in the daylight also, in the evening also, night also. In spite of that, people walk around, they have some kind of safety, they feel, oh, nothing happens. But in big cities, in America in 1960s, 70s, only in the Central Park, such an important park in the city, but after 8 o'clock, they say, police say, the cops say, don't go there alone until you require cops there. You require somebody to help you. So otherwise you go, and there are cases where they are robbed, or women are actually caught and they are exploited. So just to feel that we are advancing and getting into problem is not a solution. The solution of death should be to take up higher consciousness. And this consciousness is taught in the Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is being told, don't get worried about this body. This body is temporary. You have a permanent consciousness, your soul is there. And that's why the spiritualist is to never worry for the living, not the dead. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, oh Arjuna, don't worry about this body, because this body is temporary. You should get worried about your consciousness. What will happen to your consciousness? That's so either in food habits or living habits, when we are trying to do good for others, our consciousness is little more better than a person who is always trying to be my life, my happiness. When you are trying to spread your happiness, that is also illusion. That is called extended selfishness. I want to make myself happy and people around me happy. No, it is even more extended selfishness. But if you can go up to the real selfishness of nate gatim swartha gatim hi Vishnu, your real selfishness should become God conscious. When you become God conscious, then you really, when you try to help others, that is paropakara. That is real welfare work. If you are only trying to help people to just give them some food and some shelter, that is also welfare, but that is not permanent welfare, because your body is temporary. And you try to only take care of the body, and after that what will happen? You have to die. So that's why the spiritualists, whether it's in the eastern countries or in the western countries, when they are dying, they never were worried about their body. They were only worried about their consciousness. And people who speak about consciousness are always attacked. If you speak about spirituality, you will be killed. In the Western world, Jesus Christ was crucified. He was put nails and he was beaten. What was his fault? He was preaching God consciousness. And they were ignorant. And when he was being killed, so what is he praying? He is praying to the Lord, my Lord, please forgive them because they do not know what they are doing. So if you are trying to do something good in this world, you will be killed. There was Thakur Haridas, a great devotee of the Lord. He was a Muslim devotee. So he was chanting Hare Krishna. So there was a Muslim ruler. So he came and asked him. They caught him and took him to the court. And they asked, why are you chanting? So he didn't give a satisfactory answer to them. He said, what is wrong for me to chant the names of Krishna, Rama? So they became angry and they took him to 24 marketplaces and he was whipped, that he has to be whipped up to death. So he was beaten so many times. But because he was a great devotee of the Lord, nothing happened to him. The soldiers got worried. So they asked, how will you die, sir? If you don't die, then we will be killed. So then he said, oh, is that all? You should have told me earlier only. So then he actually acted as though he has died, as though he was dead. Then they took him and put him in water and they told actually he is dead. So then actually after that again he swam across the river, then he continued his journey. A spiritualist is not worried about death. So there was one devotee, a great sage, his name was Dadichi. See, this Dadichi Muni had practiced spirituality and he had practiced so much that his body had become very powerful. And there was some demon who was supposed to be killed by the Devatas, and it was impossible for him to be killed. So all the Devatas, they went and approached Vishnu and they asked, my Lord, this demon is very powerful and how can we fight with him? So the Lord Vishnu told them, advised them that you should go to Dadichi Muni. And he is a great sage. And by doing his tapasya, his body, his bones are so powerful that with his bones you can prepare a weapon, a thunderbolt. And this weapon you can use it for killing that demon. You see, the sages, they were so advanced that the Lord is saying, you go and approach that person and then you can ask his body. So all the Devatas, they went together to this great sage Dadichi Muni and they first went and spoke nice sweet words, and so Dadichi Muni already knew actually why they have come. So they offered him prayers and they said, my dear sage, actually we want your body. That means they are asking you, please die. So Dadichi Muni was a very advanced soul. He was not worried about his body. He is already given up attachment to his body. That's why he wants to go back to Lord, go back to Godhead. So he is ready to give. But he made a joke. He said, you are all great Devatas. Who will want to give up this body? Everybody is attached to the body. When you are trying to kill a cockroach, cockroach is the most dirtiest insect for us. But it doesn't want to die. When there is an earthquake, everybody runs here and there. Why? Because nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live. In the aeroplane, when aeroplane is moving, shaking this side, that side, they all, even when they are, actually if they are in 35,000 feet and if it is falling down, nobody will get saved. But there are some life guard systems are there where they can, the plane can land into water, and they always say that when there is an announcement, they say when there is a danger, then you have to hold this oxygen mask will automatically drop down and you have to breathe. Then you have to safeguard your children. What if you fall from there? Anyway, nobody will survive. But there are safety guard systems are there, and nobody will want to die. When there are tremors and the flight is shaking, everybody gets worried. What will happen to me? Nobody wants to die. Who will want to die? So there are difficult. Nobody wants to die. So this sage is also saying, who will want to die? Then they all offering prayers. Then he says that actually I am making a joke. Actually this body will anyway be eaten by worms. This body when it is dead, when you put it in the earth, it's eaten by worms. So if it can be of the welfare of others, you should give this body for the welfare of others. So this is a teaching actually in our Vedic literature. You should not get worried about this body. One more pastime is there where one sage, when he is passing in a forest, he happens to meet one prince. And this prince is surrounded by his entourage, means his girlfriends, and they are moving around with him and he is trying to enjoy with them. So when the sage saw, because they are sages and they give blessings, so the prince actually asked, dear sage, please bless me. So the sage, he blessed, Prince, you live for long, Chiranjeeva. Chiranjeeva means you live for long. Because the sage knows that even if this person dies now immediately, he will go to hell. Because he is using the maximum resources of his life only for sense enjoyment. When a person is only after sense enjoyment, then at the end of his life, his mood will be of an animalistic tendency and next life he will go to hell. So the sage is blessing you with Chiranjeeva. So somebody blesses us Chiranjeeva means you live long, means not that next life you have a glorious life. In this life you enjoy Chiranjeeva means. This life you don't die immediately. So this sage blessed him like that. Then later he started moving and he came upon one sadhu, not sadhu, he came upon a disciple of a guru, a brahmachari, very hard working, and he is serving his guru. So he said to this Rajaputra Chiranjeeva, he said, O king's son, Chiranjeeva, you live forever, because you don't know what will happen to you next life. But he said, Muniputra Majiva. Majiva means please die early. Why is he blessing him to die? Because after all this body is temporary, and as a Guru Putra, because as a disciple of his Guru, he has worked very hard. So he has a glorious life. So when a sadhu, when a Muniputra, when a disciple, the student, he dies, everybody, they become very pleased that he is getting a higher life. So sometimes a devotee also, when he is young age, they happen to die with accidents, and people they feel sad about them. What will happen to them? Because they were very nice devotees and very nice students, and why God has done like this injustice to them? But there is no injustice in this law of nature. So even when there was a great sages, they used to bless Muniputra Majiva, you please die. Because they don't want them to be living and suffering this body. Why you have to suffer? You are a Muniputra, you have got a lot of good activities, you have done pious activities. You die, you will get a glorious life in your future life. Either you may go to higher planets or you may get a spiritual body. So you better die. So devotees, were not lamenting for this body. They were not worried. In the Vedic civilization, they were not at all worried about this death. For them, death means it's only a change of dress. Like you are wearing this dress, as you change this from this dress, when it becomes dirty, you change a new dress. Similarly, this body you are changing. So what is important is consciousness. So this sage was walking. He said, one Chiranjeeva, you live long. One person he said, Ma Jiva, you don't live. Then this sage started moving more in the forest, and he saw one person, a butcher. So he was holding a knife and he was killing animals. So he said, you don't live, you don't die. Ma Jiva, Ma Mara. Means, because if he is living, he is keeping on doing wrong activities, he is keeping on harming others. So your living is very horrible. And don't die, because if you die, you will get definitely a very bad life. You will go to hell and you have to suffer. So this is a vision of enlightened sages. They can see what will happen to somebody in the future. It's not only astrology. When they see a sadhu kind of a person, and when you are walking in the street or when you are traveling, people come and ask, sir, you know how to see our hand? So a sadhu does not have to see your astrology. He can say by your activities, your astrology. What is an astrology? If suppose somebody is a very envious person, definitely he will get a life like a serpent. Next life, because he is always very envious of others, he will never do anything good for others. There are people who envy their own family members, their own father, mother, their own children, their own friends. They are ready to kill them also. This is an envious person quality. So it is said, Sarpa Krura Kala Krura. Chanakya Pandita says, the snake is also envious, and there are one more person. There are human beings also, there are people like snakes. This regular snake is less harmful than this human snake. Because this human being snake, because of his so-called human brain which has grown, he will do more harm for others. So we have to be careful about this such kind of snake kind of brains. So we also can give astrology, what will happen to them, envious people, what will happen to people who are in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, or in a mode of ignorance and passion, what will happen to them? They will have a very horrible life. They will never do good for others, nor they will be able to do good for themselves. So that is one more way of their life. See, this is astrology. But this sage also saw, when he saw a prince, he saw one way. When he saw a Muniputra, a student of a guru, he saw him in one way. Then he saw a butcher, he saw him in one way. And later at the end, he saw a great devotee of the Lord. When he saw a great devotee of the Lord, he said, Jivova Marova. He said, either you live or die, it's all the same, because a devotee is undisturbed in any circumstances. For him this body is temporary. When he is living here, he is living to serve others. And suppose he dies, for him it doesn't matter. Again he is anyway going to the Lord, Vishnu. He is going to approach the Lord and he will be happy. And even if he takes one more body, that body is again to serve the Lord. That's why they are called Jivan Muktaha. Even when they are living in this body, they are very, very pleased and they are very happy. So life is so temporary, but it doesn't worry the devotee, because for them, death is temporary. His consciousness is permanent. So if we develop such kind of consciousness, then our life becomes so easy. That's a fingertip. We will not get worried about our life at all. That's how Adi Shankaracharya, he says little extremely also to understand how Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Although this world is not Mithya, it's temporary, it's Anitya. He gives a little more stronger way for us to understand this world is temporary, means this material life is temporary. Brahma Satya, the soul, this consciousness is Satya, it's truth. So that's why Asato Ma Sadgamaya, from your Asatya, from your this temporary life, come to Satya, Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, come to the knowledge. That is real light. Don't be in tamas. Tamas is ignorance, darkness. So don't be in such kind of activities. Come to knowledge. Knowledge is bliss. Knowledge is actually liberation. So you can become Jivan Mukta. Swarupena avasthitihi. What is mukti is, generally we think moksha means we go and merge into God or merge into the light. So, but in the Vedic literatures, in the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the meaning is mukti hitva anyata rupam swarupena avasthitihi. The real moksha means not that you have to go and merge with God. The real moksha means you have to identify yourself not with this bodily conception of life, but your constitutional position as the servant of God. Swarupena, that is your real constitutional position. That is the secret of success. How to come out of bodily conception of life, the spiritual conception of life, to become happy. Jai Jagannath. Hare Krishna.